Yeah, we're on, innit? We're on.
Is it recording?
Yeah,
Alright, good.
go for it, innit?
Alright, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth, and rule well. Sincere Shalom to all you Akim that are teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth. Once again, we're the brothers from the GMS London Forcasters camp, back out here to prophesy the downfall of this kingdom. I've got a little article I want to get into, Lord willing, when you're ready. Alright, so I'm going to get into this article that I was doing a video on earlier today, and I thought I'd speak on it because it's quite pertinent to the times we're in. Because let me start with this. As usual, I like to start with this scripture sometimes. This is 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, and the 1st verse. It says, "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." Right, so basically it says measure the time diligently. So how do you measure something? You need to know the parameters. You need to know, like, for example, a start point and an end point. You know, that's how you'd measure something. You could say, okay, let's say you're measuring this book. You could say, okay, this is like maybe 6 centimeters. You look at the start point and the end point, and you make your judgment based on that assessment, which is concordant with the reality of whatever it is you're measuring. Now, when it says to measure out the time diligently, we have to look at the prophecies that are written aforetime, and all the things in the scriptures that are written aforetime were written for our learning. So when we're looking at the prophecies, we can see, hang on a minute, these are the signs that Yahushua said that we'd be seeing at the end of days, which is what we're at. For example, in Matthew 24, he gives loads of examples of things. For example, just as it was in the days of Noah, the people were eating and drinking, and none of them knew until the flood came and took them. That's because those people were not measuring the time diligently. They weren't aware of the spiritual, how do you call it? The things that are going on behind the scenes that weren't apparent to the naked eye, the spiritual things which pertain to the judgment of Yahweh. Now we're in that sort of time again, where great judgment is about to come on the earth. And I've got this article because it's an interesting article on this, which pertains to the times we're in, because we can look at this and we can see, hang on a minute, these are some of the things that we should be looking out for. Now, this article is from the Sun newspaper, and it's basically about an Edomite who basically beat up his mum and stabbed her in the hand and basically tried to kill her, right? And basically, we know that Esau's wicked and he's got that murderous intent from the first place. But the fact of the matter is that in Romans it says people should be lovers of themselves. Let me get that if I may. They shall be lovers of themselves, and the love of many shall wax cold. I think that's the one I'm looking for. If you got anything you want to say, just bring it out, yeah? So this is Romans. Right. Yes, so Romans chapter 1, starting from verse 18. "For the wrath of the Most High is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of the Most High is manifest in them, for the Most High have shown it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. So they are without excuse," right? "Because when they knew the Most High, they glorified him not as the Most High, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Yet, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible Most High into an image made like unto corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things," right? It says, "Wherefore the Most High also gave them up unto uncleanness, to the lusts of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves." Yep. Now jumping down to verse 29, 28's lucky, yeah? "And even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient," which is going into sodomy. But going on, it says, "being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, and whisperers, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, and here's the point, disobedient unto parents. Let me read that again. Romans 1:30, it says, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, and disobedient unto parents. So let me read this article now. And it says, now this is basically about this Edomite and his mother. So it's an Edomite male and his mother, yeah? It says, I'll never forgive him. My son filmed himself beating me as he held me captive for 8 hours, and his violence all started with toddler tantrums. So basically, this Edomite was a wicked seed. What is this? What do the scriptures say? Psalms 58 verse 3. Am I getting that up the shot? For what? Can't. So basically, these Edomites, for those of you who don't know, the Edomites are what would predominantly be called the so-called white people on the earth today. But however, we do have Israelites who are scattered amongst these other nations. So you might have Israelites who have biblical leprosy, but yet if their seed line by their forefathers goes back to Israel, the man named Israel, then they too are Israelites, no matter what they may look like. Because this is the thing about the spirit, you know, and we descend from the seed of Israel, whereas these Edomites, they descend from Israel's brother Esau in the scriptures, who, if you can receive it, was Cain in his previous incarnation, and Cain was the first murderer. So these Edomites have a very murderous spirit on them. It's just their nature, and you try this spirit by this spirit. You know what I mean? You can see through their actions that these are the acts that an Edomite would do. Go ahead, David.
So this is the book of Psalms 58:3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
That's right. So these Edomites are estranged from the womb, which means that which is a cold cut to some of you women who like to say that, before a baby's born, it's just a collection of cells. It's not really a living thing. That's going off, because the Most High said, "I knew thee in the womb." You know, is it to Jeremiah he said that? Before I knew you in the womb, and I ordained you to be a prophet unto the nations, roughly paraphrasing. So the Most High knows. It's like, if it's the Most High, he's got to know everything because he's the Most High. So you don't think that he knows which spirits are going to come forth from the earth and be wicked. The Most High created the wicked, so he knows the spirits. So when this Edomite was in his womb, as I said, let me read it again, right? If the phone will work. There we go. It says, I'll never forgive him. My son filmed himself beating me as he held me captive for 8 hours, and his violence all started with toddler tantrums. Now, this is also an interesting thing, because as I said, we're supposed to measure now the time diligently. Some years ago, I can't remember what year ago it was exactly, but Esau made it a law where you're not allowed to spank your children. You know, he banned parents from spanking their children. Now, what do you think that caused? It caused a generation of wayward children. First of all, he's destroyed the household by getting the man out of the house. So a lot of these children are being raised by their effeminate mothers. And the mother is effeminate, that's her nature, right? But these children are being raised with no discipline. Then they're not being punished when they do wrong. So how do you think this generation is going to grow up to be? You know what I'm saying? So when these wayward kids grow up to be adults, how can you be surprised when they're acting like complete demons? Because this is the thing. Esau knew exactly what he was doing when he passed these unrighteous decrees, because it is an unrighteous decree to say that a parent can't discipline their child. Who the fuck are you to try and come into someone's household and tell them how they can't raise their kid? This is all bullshit, man. And it shows you that Esau's got complete control of the people, because the children are pretty much the property of the government now. Parents don't really have a say in what their children are learning at school and all this kind of stuff. And that goes back to something I was researching before. Over here in the UK, when you're in school, I remember they called us pupils. Yeah. Oh, we've got 30 pupils in the class. That's what those teachers would say. If you look up the root meaning of the word pupil, it goes back to orphan child. So basically, don't worry about this one. Yeah, so the word pupil means orphan child. So when you got these teachers in a school and they're saying, oh, we've got 30 pupils in this class, they're basically saying we've got 30 orphan children in this class. So they're basically saying that those children don't have parents. Go ahead.
This is Proverbs 23 and 13. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die.
That's right.
Thou shalt beat him with the rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell.
Exactly. That's beautiful precept. And right on the point. You're supposed to discipline the child because children, when they come out, they're naturally inclined to do folly. And that's fine because it's a child. The child has to learn, but the child has to learn through discipline, you know? So going back to this article, this child was not disciplined because it says, I'll never forgive him. My son filmed himself beating me as he held me captive for 8 hours, and his violence all started with toddler tantrums. So let's get into it. It says a mother has told of a horrifying ordeal after she was held captive and nearly murdered by her own son. Helen Smith, 44, thought she was going to die when she was taken prisoner by her only child, Sean Wilson, 23, during a sickening 8-hour ordeal during March last year. Now, this is funny because it says during March last year. What happened during March last year? We was in lockdown, right? And if you notice, I don't know if you've done the research, but I was following the stories on this. A lot of domestic violence incidents broke out during lockdown because these people were locked up together and they were like, you know, the demons were just on them. And like you had a lot of guys beating up their women, a lot of murders happened, things like that, because these people were forced into this, forced to spend time in an enclosed space, more time than they're probably usually used to spending amongst these people. And a lot of people got fucked up, you know, but that's all through the spirit. Carrying on, it says, Wilson, the son, physically took his anger out on his mother since being a toddler. It says the single mother still suffers panic attacks and nightmares after the attack in March of last year. And I don't know if I show this on the screen, come up?
Yeah, it should
be. All right, so let me show this on the screen if I can. As I said, this is Esau for you. As you can see, that right there, that's the face of the son, right? And here's the face of the mother. He busts her up. It's like it's a bit hard to get on the screen, yeah? So these are Edomites, right? So reading on, it says,
So like, you know what that's down to as well? A lot of why these children bug out is because of that fucking fast food, man.
That's a good point.
They're not eating properly, man. Like when a baby is born, right? I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When a baby is born, their growth that they experience is the most rapid growth they'll ever have in their life, man. That's why they say if you're gonna buy baby clothes, don't buy them too much of the same thing at one age group, because before you know it, they've grown out of that, right? Because they're still developing. So the nutrients, the food you give them is really vital in the early stages, you know, which will affect their physical body, their mental state, you know, somewhat, okay, and the overall general workings of that child. That's why the children of today don't work properly. They don't work properly. Why? Because of the food you're giving them, man. All right. What you're meant to do is you know, mash up like greens, vegetables, stuff like that, man. You know, boil it, yams and stuff, and green bananas, and make it mushy. Because that's our ancient custom, man.
Yeah.
But now you're going to the fucking Sainsbury's and getting baby formula food, you know, breast milk as well. Now you got powder milk, all right. And then you wonder why when a child is like a toddler with his, what did you say? Tantrums.
Yeah, tantrums.
Get to 3-4 years old, why they're bugging out. It's because you don't fuck them up with the food. And then they get to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's McDonald's and KFC. You know, and the steroids and the hormones they put in them, whatever animal it is, man, some that hybrid shit, and they mask it as chicken or beef. Okay, you're putting that in a young body, and their cells just eating it up, man. That's why they don't think straight. You know, they have a, you know, their concentration span is real low. And anything that demands a little bit of attention, they can't, too much for me. You know, and then what does Esau say? Oh, your child's dyslexic. No, motherfucker, you gave them the wrong food, man.
That's right. And if I might add to that, the drinks as well. Like in them Robinsons, like you got for the children, the Robinsons baby drink. Well, it's not for babies, but they put all the aspartame and all that shit in it. That fucks up, like you said, the children's attention span. That's why these kids are like, they can't sit still for 5 minutes. Not only that as well, but it's the programming as well. I use the word programming. A lot of this children's, this is the thing. When I was growing up, man, children's TV was hardcore, because you know what you had? you had role models. You know, you had clearly defined stories with good characters, evil characters, heroes, villains. Now what Esau done as well, first of all, he stopped the parents from disciplining the children. Then he's bringing the children up on shit like Peppa Pig, which has no fucking it doesn't show anybody as being evil. Like Esau will try and say, oh well, you know, you can't just paint things in black and white, there's shades of grey. No, children need to know, okay, this is right, this is wrong. This person, that's the villain, he's doing wrong, he's gonna get punished. You need to see consequences to actions. That's why when these children are watching stuff, they're watching all these fast-paced, the editing so quick, and all these things, it's just scene after scene after scene, bombarding the child's brain. So when the child has to sit still now, it finds it difficult because it's like, oh, this is slow, this is boring.
You talk English to the child, right? And then there's a bastard tongue and everything, but cool, we're in the land of our captivity, man. That's why them children, they can't speak properly, they can't formulate sentences, they're not articulate, because when you watch them shows like Peppa Pig and Teletubbies, you know, and all that, they're actually babbling, man.
Yes. Yeah, they don't talk properly.
That's what they do. So then the child grows up now, and you're trying to teach them fucking how to read and write, and they're struggling.
Yeah.
You know, they're struggling because all they do is sit down in front of the fucking box all day, which is the TV, and get, as the brother said, programmed by bullshit, man.
That's a good point. You know, it's funny, spiritual as well. I was on the bus when I was traveling here, and I saw some child in a pram, and it always pisses me off when I see children that are flipping of walking age.
Yeah, you said that the other week,
Yeah, and they're still in a fucking pushchair.
What the hell is that about?
And the child's on the bus, and it's literally like you said, babbling. It's going like it's bugging out, and the mother couldn't silence the child. You know what she did? She pulls the phone out of her pocket, puts some shit on YouTube, hands it to the baby. Well, it's not a baby, it's a toddler. And the toddler held it in its hand and was silent. I was just staring at the screen. Now this is funny because I've seen not to put my business out there, but like I've got nieces and nephews, and I've seen the similar thing where they'll be there, all of a sudden the parent hands them the phone, and it's like they go into a trance, like they just space out and they're staring at the phone.
Because the demon jumps out of the phone, the demon on the phone, on the whatever they're watching, actually engages them. They lock in.
That's right.
I can concur to that. You give them the fucking device, and then children have tablets, man. What do we have growing up? Fucking yo-yos,
exactly,
and push cars, and all that shit. Normal stuff that little boys, you know, the boys with the action men and the cars, the remote control cars, the girls with the dollies or whatever. Now you give children fucking iPads, man.
Exactly.
You know?
And that is a good point, because these children, they don't have any imagination. Like in my day, for example, I played with toys a lot. I still love them, it's my thing. But I had the imagination to be able to create storylines and be sustained in that entertainment. Toys aren't really sold to children much no more. They're mainly sold to adults and collectors, because children now, they're all on the iPads, on the flipping Xboxes and PS4s and PS5s, and they don't have any. It's like they don't have an imagination. They can't like create something to entertain themselves. They're like, oh, I'm bored, so they're just always reaching for that joypad. But let me get back to this article, yeah.
I've got one more precept.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then you can read that article, right?
Come on.
This goes for Israelites, okay? Not you other nations. Fuck you, man. You can stay on the iPad all day, man. I don't give a fuck about you. But this is for Israelites, right? And this shows you that you had your stupid, silly time with your children. You play with them and make believe and this and that, and let's create stuff. Yeah, you do that with children. But aside from fun time and play time, you call it, you also gave your children a very strict upbringing in the Lord, man.
Yes.
Okay, which and you taught them about the law, which basically deals with life. Okay, because in Christianity or religious settings of today, they make it seem as you've got education, then you've got God. No, if you've got the Most High, that is education on everything.
That's right.
You talk about finance, it's in the Bible. You talk about moral laws, it's in the Bible. Agriculture, it's in the Bible. You talk about family life and businesses, it's in the Bible. Okay, so there ain't no thing as education and then the Lord. No, if you want to learn about life and be successful, in fact, I got two precepts.
Go ahead, bring them out.
Let me get this, man. Because you people, you think that the Bible is just something to talk about. Oh, the good Lord said this. Where's the book of Joshua, man? Okay, talk about life. See, this Bible is all mashed up, man. It's like it.
That's right. Take your time.
Where is it? I want the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and 8.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I'll just speak while you're looking
say
for it.
so,
Yeah?
say so.
And that's true because the Bible, it's like, I don't have children myself, but if I were to have children, I wouldn't be reading them shit like Harry Potter and all that kind of rubbish.
Fuck yeah.
I'd be giving them two main books, the Bible and maths books,
That's right.
because that's what you really need. Because as brothers always say, in the word of muff goes back to truth. See, if you're good with numbers, let me tell a brief testimony here. I went into Sainsbury's like a week ago, yeah, and I bought a cake and a drink. Right, it's around lunchtime. I bought a cake and a drink. I went to the till point, self-service, tried to pay. I put a £20 note in, and a self-service machine only gave me £5 back. So I said to the woman, look, I'm owed £14.52, yeah, but the self-service machine only gave me a £5 note. So you owe me £10.52. And I said this to the woman who was working there, and she's like, oh, like, when I said these numbers, she's like she got all flustered, like it was like she wasn't used to dealing with sums. So I thought, okay, I'll be patient with her. She says, oh, how much did it give you? I said, look, I put £20 in, it gave me £5 back. Really, I should get £14.52. I think that's what it was, £14.52. And she's like, oh,
Calculator.
yeah, just bear with me. She goes over to the other till point to ask someone who was working on the actual till to give me some money. So she says to the woman behind the till, could you take out £10.52? Because I had, like, yeah, let's just say it's £10.52, right? Because I already had the 5. So the woman behind the till was like, what? And she goes, this customer was shortchanged. Could you give me £10.52? And the woman's looking all dumb behind the till point. And she says, and the woman says, oh, what? £10.51? And I says, look, are you dumb? She said £10.52. She had to repeat it 3 times, and the woman was still getting the number wrong. So, like, these people, man, they're so fucking stupid. I'm losing my temper now, but it goes to show a point. These people, they're not really smart. As I said, when you learn the scriptures, you learn about all factors of life. When you know maths, you know how to deal with things properly. You know what I'm saying? And you're not going to be getting all flustered like, oh shit, what's the sum? What's the sum? And it wasn't even a hard sum. But it shows you the people, man.
Dumb fuck.
The people aren't smart no more. People have got by using their computer and their fucking calculator. Yeah. It's like they use the phone calculator and they're not really using the mental arithmetic. That's, you know what, man? Just putting this out there. I like to do sums, man, because it keeps you mentally sharp. There's good apps you can get on your phone, like there's one I use called Mastrix. When I'm sitting on the train, you just do these sums on your.
Abraham did that, man. When you get into the secular history, it talks extensively about Moses' father-in-law Jethro, Moses himself, Abraham. They studied what we know today as physics, chemistry, and biology, man. Astrology. Yes. Okay, they studied that extensively. All right. They talk about mathematics and the Greek. No.
Yeah, the Greek, that's full of shit.
They done that. Our ancestors done that for fun, man. Okay, and it also was constructive. You can make stuff, you can calculate stuff, man.
Yeah.
All that science stuff. That's not. Look, the highest level of wisdom is to do with spiritual matters, man. Under that, you have things like mathematics, chemistry. You know, the study of heat. All right, heating stuff up. All right, biology, the study of life, greenery.
Yeah.
Right? Physics, building stuff, temperatures. You know, weights and all of that. Our forefathers were heavy into that, man.
Man, just say something. That's a really good point, because what does the Lord say? A false balance is an abomination to the Most High. So you need to know how to do a correct balance.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me bring this precept out, right? This is, I mentioned this. This is Joshua chapter 1 and 8. This book of the law, which is the scriptures, shall not depart out of thy mouth, and thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy ways prosperous, and thou shalt have good success.
That's right. That's a good point. And this is the thing. If you're meditating on the scriptures and the law day and night, do you know what that does? That defeats idleness. Yeah. And that's a big problem that a lot of these young people are suffering from. Idleness. When they're idle, they're like, oh, what you do, man? Oh, what you want, man? What's this person? They're just looking for fucking mischief. What's the motive? Exactly. That's, you know what I mean?
I got one more precept.
Go ahead.
This is, we were talking about, you have your downtime with your children and you mess around and be silly with them and all that stuff, but then there's a balance, as the brother just quoted the scripture, right? From a very young age, it was made very aware in the ancient world of who your power is, okay, and matters of spirituality, which leads to success, as I just read in the book of Joshua, which is found in the book of the law, which is the whole Bible. Now, this is the book of Deuteronomy, and this is the Shemai, okay? You know, and it says in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 3, and it says here, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord Yahweh thy power of thy fathers have promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Now here's the point. And really, according to the law, what I'm about to read, we should recite it every morning and every night, really 3 times a day.
Can't.
And it says, hear, O Israel, the Lord our power, the Lord is one. In the Hebrew, Shema Yasha'Allah, Yahweh Elachai Yahweh Echad. And thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And here's the point now. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
That's right. And
okay, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest down in the house, or when thou walkest by the way, or when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. You got it.
That's right. It's a beautiful precept. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a reason why Esau is teaching Harry Potter in the schools. What do you think that's doing to the children? It's indoctrinating them into early stages of witchcraft. Because those indoctrination centers, which are masquerading in schools, are nothing but are basically a crash course in early Satanism for the children, right? And if you was adhering to what the brother just read, when you're sitting down in your house, you ain't supposed to be talking about, oh, what happened on EastEnders, what happened on Big Brother. I don't even know if they show Big Brother anymore. What do they call it? Love Island. You're not supposed to be talking about that kind of foolishness. You're supposed to be talking about, look, on the night of the Passover, the death angel, which is Yahweh Shai, passed through and smote all the firstborn of Egypt, and we was delivered. You're supposed to be telling them about, okay, we was in Egypt. The Most High brought us out of Egypt. We're supposed to know these things. This is the thing. A lot of us brothers in this truth. I mean, I grew up in you could call it a Christian household, and I knew some basics. Like, I knew God existed. I believed in Jesus, as we called him back then when he was in the world. But some of the, we didn't know about like the deeper things of the scriptures. When really, that's what you're supposed to be teaching your children from a very young age. And it's only through the grace of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai that we've been brought to this point where we're gaining this knowledge, and we're able to break it down as we do, thanks to our elders and apostles who have taught us the right ways. But going back to this article, because there's a lot in here, man. It says, okay, Sean Wilson, 23, was sentenced to 8 years behind bars after putting his mother through a sickening 8-hour ordeal. Now that's going off. It says he was sentenced to 8 years behind bars, right? Please get me Exodus 21 and verse 15, I believe.
Just thinking.
Because Esau doesn't deal correctly with these matters. That's why unrighteousness is all over the earth. If Esau was to judge matters correctly, this kind of wickedness wouldn't be taking place, because it would be put out of the earth.
Oh shit! Yeah. Ooh. This is Exodus 21 and 15, and it says, "And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death."
That's right. Did it say maybe? No. Did it say, oh, but he's my son and I love him, have mercy? No. It said everybody that smiteth their mother or father should be put to death. See, this is the thing. I'm getting passionate about this stuff because this is a very important topic, because it shows how out of order the world is. You got these fucking kids running around like they're fucking like they're just animals, man. Just animals. I've got testimonies on this stuff, but let me stay on the point. Right, it says the heartless Wilson even documented the terrifying attack and shockingly filmed himself slapping and punching and strangling his mum. Now you got to think about this. Right, so it's bad enough that he's beating up on his mum, right? But the dude's filming himself. Why is he filming himself? Because he's Esau. Esau gets off on doing wickedness. Esau loves this shit. Esau will drink wickedness up like it's water, man. So he's filming this shit, and he's probably going to rewatch it. You know, this happens all the time. A lot of murderers do this stuff. You know, they call it snuff films and stuff. They enjoy torturing people. They get off on that shit. So this is Esau straight up and down. It says the torment only stopped after he fell asleep. So that was the spirit of the Lord put that guy to sleep, right? Because it says the torment only stopped after he fell asleep, and Helen, which was his mother, was able to escape and call the police, seeing him jailed for 8 years. So it says, now Helen is bravely speaking out about the abuse she suffered at the hands of her own son to raise awareness of domestic violence in families. Helen, a health assistant, says, sadly, people think domestic violence only occurs in relationships and marriages, but it can happen at the hands of your children too. Well, it can happen, but it shouldn't be happening according to the law, as the brother read. Exodus 21 and verse 15, he that smiteth his mother or his father should be put to death. Why do you think that law exists? The reason why that law exists is because this shit ain't supposed to be happening. So if a child was to do that in the ancient kingdom, we take him up before the elders, and if it was found to be true in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, that child would be put to death.
And Slaki, that's the thing. Sorry to cut.
No, that's all right.
That's why public execution, according to the law, is a righteous thing, because it puts the fear into other people. It's like, oh shit, you know, if you ever started getting, like, let's stay on topic. If you ever, you know, just had the thought of getting out of line with your parents to that extent, you're gonna think twice.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna see the elders of the city take him out, and it's public, man. The people would gather together and watch that motherfucker get stoned, man.
That's right.
Okay, same with playing the whore. Okay, you fucking women, right? You wanna be what happened? Back in history in England, you had the mods and the rockers after World War II, and contraception came on the scene when you do the English history, and then they got the videos in black and white. I'm free. I can just fucking anybody I want to. All of that shit. Okay. Well, guess what? If you were the daughter of a priest, all right, and you were found to be playing the whore, you'd be burnt with fire. Okay. And once again, that's a public execution, man. So to all you little girls out there, young women out there thinking, I'm gonna grow up and do this and do that and do whatever the fuck I want, you would actually think twice about that, man. Okay, because you'd be put to death. All right. Now I've actually seen about 7 years ago, and there's certain things you see that it almost scars you, or you never forget about it.
Can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank
Go for
you.
it. All right. And I've actually seen over there in the land of massive Congo, which is who's there? Benjamin and Judas there, right? And I've actually seen people being burnt with fire. And that is very horrific to see, man. If you actually, I don't know if you brothers have seen it, but if you ever seen a group of people being burnt with fire, man, that, I can't lie, man, I was weaker back then. That kind of messed me up for the whole day. I was all sad and shit. Oh, man. Yeah. It's in your head, man. But imagine seeing that live in the flesh. You thought about being a hoe, you ain't gonna be a hoe no more, man. Yeah. You ain't just gonna play the harlot, play the whore, because you know that your friend over there, you know, last week she got caught playing the whore and she got burnt with fire, man.
That's right.
You know, so all this 8 years out in jail, that's fucking bullshit. He should be in the spirit realm right now.
That's right.
You know?
And that's a good point. I haven't seen the burning, but I've seen other judgments. Like, for example, I've seen people getting stoned.
Yeah.
And that's not, when you got to use your head, man. When it says they stone people, they weren't just throwing pebbles. No. These are big flipping slabs of rock. Yeah. They're dropping on people's heads for judgment.
You slowly see the spirit leaving them, man. Like it's fucking real, man. I've seen stoning as well, man.
Yeah.
Like the person that they're conscious and unconscious and they're conscious again until they're gone, man.
Yeah.
That's a slow, fucking, painful, terrifying death, man. Yeah. Imagine being on the floor and people are standing over you throwing fucking slabs at your head, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the judgment. And like you said, these things are important to establish order and also to instill fear from doing the right thing, from doing the wrong thing, Salakia, which goes back to what I was saying before about moral content is very important for children. That's why they need to see clear examples of heroes and villains, role models, so they can know, hey, you know what, that's the wrong thing to do, rather than having everything morally ambiguous. Because when things are morally ambiguous, the kid don't know, oh, well, this is right, this is wrong. And that's exactly what Israel's trying to do, especially with this LGBTQ shit that they're pushing in the school. They're trying to train the children up to be morally ambiguous, so they don't know up from down, left from right, right from wrong, good from bad. It's all a flipping psyop. And I'm going to use this as well. I mean, because this is the thing. I like to think a lot about stuff. When I was back at school, in secondary school, they made us read this book. I think it was called The Crucible. Now, I'm the kind of guy who likes to look for the moral of a story. I just love storytelling and stuff like that, right? But I look back at the things that they were teaching us in the national curriculum, and I asked myself, why was this part of the national curriculum? Because in that story of The Crucible, because the brother was talking about how they would burn a harlot. If you was a priest's daughter, you get burnt if you was playing a harlot. In that story, it was about witch trials. And they were basically trying to make out like, oh, these people were caught up in mass hysteria and all these innocent women were burnt unfairly and it was so wrong. That's the kind of narrative they're trying to push in the school to make you think that, to try and make you think that the judgments that were being put out against these people who were practicing in witchcraft and whoredom, to make you think that it was somehow wrong. But it was righteous judgment. And that judgment should be instilled in the earth because it puts the fear in people from going off and it maintains order. So let's get back to what I was saying, not to digress too much. And it says, Helen, which is the mother, a health assistant says, sadly, people think domestic violence only occurs in relationships and marriages, but it can happen at the hands of your children too. I loved my son and I never thought that he would hurt me like this. I will never forgive him. Now that's a righteous thing she's saying, that she will never forgive him. But look what it took to get her to this point. It says Wilson's dark side first came out when he was a toddler and he would have tantrums over the smallest things. Now here's another point, man. When I was a child, I didn't have the perfect upbringing, none of us did, but there's certain things that I knew, hey, you don't do that, man. For example, my mum would say to me and my brother, if you act up when we're out, I'm going to bring you straight, wherever we are, I'm bringing you straight home and you're going to get punished. So like if we're out in the supermarket and we act up, my mum would drop the shopping, go straight home, there'd be a beating. Now that never used to happen much because I knew not to act up. But the fact of the matter is, I remember when I was a child, I'd see these other toddlers in Sainsbury's, especially these Edomites, weird-ass kids, rolling around on the floor, throwing tantrums and like, no, I don't want it, no, just acting like demons to their mum, and the mum's like, can't really do nothing with them. That's how these kids are coming up, man. So it says, I kept telling myself he would grow out of it, but as he grew older, he was constantly angry, Helen said. It says, Sean would bite me, spit at me, and throw things at me. See, this is where it all stems from, man. You didn't stamp it out when he was a kid. Now he's growing up and he's like, he thinks he's got all the power in the world. And obviously you're a woman, you can't fight a grown man. He's a grown man now, what are you gonna do? So it says, he would bite me and spit at me and throw things at me. And it got so bad when he was 3 that I sent him to anger management classes, and it was horrendous. I really struggled. Now, you got to think about this, right? Why are you sending a child to anger management classes? I'll ask this question. Where was the child's father? Where was the child's father? Why do you have to send him to some fucking therapist anger management classes when really the father should be instilling discipline in the child? See what I'm saying? But again, these are the Edomites. They do things all kind of backwards. They're just wayward people, man. So it says, the single mum's hopes of her son maturing from his outbursts were merely wishful thinking. And she battled with Wilson, shouting and swearing at her every day. Now, please read for me Exodus 21 and 17, I think, is Baba Kashar. So it says the child was shouting and swearing at his mother. What does the law say?
This is the book of Exodus 21 and 17. And he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death.
Well, there you go. What did we say before? He that striketh his mother or his father should be put to death. But also he that curseth his mother or his father, what's the judgment?
Put to death.
There you go. So let's look at this situation. He started out biting and spitting at his mum. Okay, he was a toddler, fine. Let's give him that, okay, he's a toddler. Then he starts swearing at the mum. That was a death sentence right there. Right there, death sentence. But no, she allowed it to go on. The boy grew up into a man, and check what he does to her when he's grown up. It says, in 2016, the then 17-year-old Wilson got a girlfriend who also wasn't immune to his aggression. In May the following year, his girlfriend came to stay with Helen and Sean for the weekend before a row soon erupted. I heard them arguing in the living room, Helen recalled, and I rushed in and stood between them trying to break it up. Suddenly, Sean threw me over the coffee table and I hit my head on the corner and I blacked out. And it says, when I came around, police officers were arresting Sean and I felt this sudden pain in my hand and there was blood pouring out of it. A police officer told me Sean had stabbed me with a kitchen knife, and after all those years, I never expected him to actually harm me. Well, that's a woman for you, isn't it? Women, and I'm not trying to be bad, but women are all in their emotions. You know, they find it hard to hard to discipline a child with a stern hand because they're emotional. They've got that kind of connection, you know. So she never believed, even after all these telltale signs that this dude was a bad seed. She never believed that he'd end up stabbing her in the hand with a kitchen knife. But it doesn't end there.
You see, and that's the Salati. That's the thing, right? When you check it, you got 11 years, 11 months, and a couple of days to raise a child, because once the child turns 12, they're under the law, man. You know, so all of this fucking around and him, she had 11 years. That's a long fucking time, Helen. So fuck you. You deserve to get stabbed. Okay. Yeah, he's got demons on him because he's a fucking Edomite, but fuck you, Helen, as well.
Yep.
All right. You deserve to get thrown over the coffee table and blacked out and stabbed when you come around. Fuck you, bitch, because you had 11 years, man. 11 years to discipline him. All right. You know, and if the father's not around, to get some sort of male figure around, man, to basically put him in line, man.
That's right.
All right. But all your wishes, because I was listening. I've been listening. Oh, I was hoping he wouldn't do this to me, and you know, I hope he would snap out of it, and I never thought he would harm me.
Wishful thinking.
You're wishful thinking, as a brother said, you fucking emotional women. All right, so you deserve all what you got, man.
That was judgment for me.
Because you had 11 fucking years to set him straight, all right, before he turned 12. Now, albeit these are Edomites, so they ain't really under the law, but the concept is the same, all right? You got 11 years to teach a child how to operate, man. And on that 12th birthday for that boy, and whenever the girl gets her first period, all right, that's it, man. They're under the law. You know, not none of that. Oh, but it's my son. Yeah. Hey, you violate, you gonna get dealt with according to the law, man.
That's right.
All right.
Very well said. Very well said, because that is exactly the point. She had all the time in the world to stamp this out, but you know what it is? It's like just like in the world, like it's like let's say you've got a leaking tap, right? The tap's leaking. You think, oh, I'll fix it tomorrow. Oh, I'll fix it tomorrow. You keep leaving it. I'll fix it tomorrow. Guess what? That tap's gonna become a flood. You know, you're gonna end up having a flood in your house if you don't deal with the problem correctly. Likewise, if you don't discipline the child from an early age, doesn't it say train up a child in the way he should go, and when he was old, he will not depart from it? But hey, as I said, that's all good and well according to the law, but Esau's going to be Esau because he's just wicked anyway. So I'll continue on. It says, yeah, after all those years, I never expected that he could actually harm me. I couldn't believe it. In 2018, Wilson pleaded guilty to one count of ABH, which is a grievous bodily harm, against Helen at Woolwich Crown Court, and he was jailed for 4 years. Can't go ahead.
Real quick. This is Proverbs 3:7, and it says, be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yoshai, and depart from evil. So Helen was wise in her own eyes.
Yeah.
In what? In what? Wishful thinking. That was her wisdom. Yeah. That's how silly she is. That her wisdom is wishful thinking of I hope and I pray. All right? Well, she weren't praying, but I hope that he grows out of it. But what does the rest of the verse say? It says, be not wise in thy own eyes, fear the Lord. What's the fear of the Lord? To keep his commandments.
That's right.
So when it comes to children and family life, there's a strict way, as we're going through in the law, how to deal with certain matters accordingly. Okay? You know, and it says, and depart from evil. And what's evil? A bad time. So she's put up with a bad time because she was not following through the scriptures. But then again, why would she? Yeah. Because she's an Edomite. So as I've been saying, Helen, you deserve it.
Yep. That was judgment from the Most High through her own son. Could you please read Proverbs 3:5 as well, Baba Kashar?
So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 and 2 verses up 5, and it says, trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thine heart, or Yahweh Hashem Yoshai with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Exactly. Helen, you leaned unto your own understanding, and you thought, well, you know, this is the thing, man. These Edomites, when they that's kind of beautiful to see that. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. See, look at them. Their family's in order. Yeah. None of the kids, none of the young ones are smiting their parents. Yeah. But anyway, not to get distracted.
The animals got more sense than a lot of people, man.
Can't. And this is the thing. It comes from pride. You Edomites, you think, well, you know what? Oh, the Bible, oh, that's old. It's done away with. You throw the rule book on how to deal with things out behind your back, and you try and think, oh, I'm going to raise my son my way. I'm going to do it my way. like Frank Sinatra. Well, guess what? That don't work. You're supposed to follow the way that the Most High ordained to deal with things, as the brother said. Because this isn't about what we think or what we want. The Most High created everything in balance and in order. And when we adhere to that order, that's when things work. When you try and come up with your own way, like, oh, I'm going to remix the formula and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, guess what? It always fucking fails. Always. There's no time when anybody's tried to come up with a better way to do things than the way that was ordained by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and it's ever worked. It just doesn't work, man. So reading on, it says, yeah, the guy was jailed for 4 years, right? And it says Helen forgave her son and even invited him back into her home after his first stint in jail for stabbing her in the hand, right? It says Helen Smith, 44, dealt with a lifetime of abuse from her son. It says, at first I was, again, this shows you the spirit of a woman, right? It says, at first I was angry, but after he was jailed, I felt so guilty, Helen explained. Now that's just messed up. Your child done wrong, he's getting punished, and now you feel sorry for him. You got to get your emotions in check, man. You got to get your emotions in check, because see, she felt sorry for him. But what did the scripture say? Never trust thine enemy. Is that Ecclesiastes 12?
Yeah.
Well, Baba Kisha. The scriptures say, never trust thine enemy.
Ooh, I've got a precept for you.
Oh, go ahead. Bring it up.
No. I'm gonna get this first.
Can't.
And then, yeah, keep speaking.
Yeah. The scriptures say, never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, roughly paraphrasing. This child had basically shown Helen that he was your enemy. The dude flipping stabbed you in the hand. He could have hit a vein. You could have bled out to death right there and then. What would you be saying then? Oh, I still feel sorry for him that he's in jail for 4 years. Get your fucking emotions in check, man.
That's the spirit. She got her young in order.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
You know, the Lord giving us examples.
Yeah.
You brothers can't see it, but you got a
Got a group of ducks, yeah.
and then 1, 2, 3, 4. See, that's spiritual, but 4 is mercy, man.
Well, there you go.
You know, but see, she's going, and then they're following on with her, man.
Yeah, they ain't talking back and trying to
You know,
overtake the mum and lead the way. That's just beautiful to see nature in order. Again, this is Yahweh B'Shem Shai's order. It's beautiful to observe, man. And when we're back in, when the kingdom's established on the earth, that's why we're going to see such beauty. Because we're seeing it in these small little examples there. But all over the world, it's going to be under the vibration of righteousness rather than the vibration of wickedness, which is what is established on the earth day. Because you know what? As the ruler of a city is, so are they that dwell therein. And Esau's wicked. He's what do you call it? Who can make straight what the Most High made crooked? Esau is crooked, and he is adverse and contrary to all the laws of Yahweh Hashem Shai. And since he's in rulership, that vibration is going across the whole earth. And you've got something?
what was it you wanted? Ecclesiastes 1 and
12
sorry.
about never trust thine enemy.
Oh,
Baba
yeah,
Kasha.
yeah.
That's why it's good to be out in nature sometimes, man, to get away from the city and to just observe things in their natural order. It kind of settles your spirit, man, because when you're in these cities, man, all you're seeing is wickedness. All these people just walking up and down, just with evil demons on them. And sometimes it's good to get away from that stuff, man. Never trust thine enemy. Let me help you out. I think it's an Ecclesiastes. So, Surah 12, Salakia. I said Ecclesiastes, Salakia. But yeah, I'll keep talking until you find it. Surah. So it says here, she says, at first I was angry, but after he was jailed, I felt so guilty. But you know what? That's actually kind of right, because deep down in her spirit, she knows she failed that child. Like the brother said, she had 11 years, 11 months, and
Couple of days, whenever his birthday is.
yeah, to bring that child up right. And as soon as that child hit 12, that was when it's like, okay, game over, you failed.
Yeah, I got that for you. This is
Water.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10, and it says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
That's right, keep going, Baba Kasha.
And it says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away.
Yep, keep going, Baba Kasha.
And it says, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith.
Well, that's beautiful. Helen was indeed pricked therewith because she got stabbed in the hand. But she didn't remember those words because guess what? She went adhering to the rule book. But that's beautiful. For what if we're bringing it out? I'll keep going on the story because it doesn't end there. So the mother felt guilty, right? Because her baby boy is now locked up in prison for 4 years for stabbing him. So it goes on and it says, Helen said her son was a monster and that she could never forgive him. So this is after what happens next, right? So it says, Wilson bombarded his mother with abuse every day when he was growing up. Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about how my son was in jail because of me. So she blamed herself. Yeah, despite what he'd done, I still loved him. See, this is the thing. These women, as I said, you got to get your emotions in check. And I understand you're going to love the child because you carried him for 9 months and you brought him forth. But guess what? There is such thing as wicked people. You know, there is such thing as a child being estranged from the room. Did we not read Psalms 58? We did, yeah. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. There are wicked people on the earth. You got to get that into your head. Like I said, when you're fucking bringing your children up on flipping Postman Pat or Peppa Pig and all these, you know, stupid shows which don't show clear-cut, clear-defined good versus evil scenarios, and your children, they're just, as I said, they're growing up morally ambiguous. You know, they don't know the right way to do things, so therefore they're doing everything wrong. And you're encouraging that by feeding them this bullshit entertainment or bullshit TV programming. So reading on, it says, she says, I still loved him, right? It says, Wilson then wrote to Helen, so the son wrote to the mother, from prison apologizing for the attack. And I'm just going to put this out there.
No.
Like, I'm going to put this out there, right? So the son's in prison and he writes to his mum apologizing for the attack. Do you think he was doing that because he wanted to? Or do you not think he was in the prison and they've got these counselors coming around saying, oh, well, you know, you might get probation earlier if you show remorse, so maybe you should write to your mum. See what I'm saying? So this Edomite, Esau ain't fucking righteous, man. He ain't writing to his mum apologizing from a place of sincerity, like, you know what, man, I done wrong. Let me really try and fix things with my mums, man. No, he's writing there because some fucking counselor probably told him, yeah, it probably look good for your probation if you write to your mum and apologise. So therefore, the mum gets the letter now from the son, thinking, oh, and she's all getting these pangs in her heart for her son, thinking, oh, but he really changed and he loved me. Oh, my beautiful boy, how could I have done this to him? See, it's all flipping a mind game.
And that, since you said that, it's the perfect time to bring this up. This is why Yahweh Shai told John to basically escort his mother and sisters away from the crucifixion site, because women are fucking emotional, man. All right, and the Lord weren't trying to hear no crying and see no long ass tears from women, and He's there paying the punishment for all of Israel. All right, this is the book of Luke 19, and I'll start from verse 25. Now there stood by the cross of Yahweh Shai his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. And when Yahweh Shai therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by, whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then saith he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. After these things, after this, Yahushua, knowing that all things were accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, he said, I thirst. All right. So when you check it, who was there? It was Yahushua's mother. All right, his auntie.
Yeah.
Okay, and Mary Magdalene. And they were crying and all emotional. Oh, my son, and you know. So what did Yahushua say to the disciple? Look, man, just, you know, behold. He said to the disciple, behold thy mother, as in, look, take the woman away, man. You know, and woman, behold thy son. You guys cleave to each other. Go to the house, man. Yeah. Don't be standing around the cross all crying and that. Because number one, there's multiple facets to it. Number one, you have to be reasonable, man, in the flesh. Like, you're dying, you don't want your mother to see you like that, man.
Naked on the cross too.
Naked as well, man. Your house is now a man. You talk about the law.
You're not supposed to look at your son's nakedness.
There you go. Or your mother's nakedness. So that law was automatically being violated by the Persian crucifixion system, which was adopted by the Romans. But he couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that had to be, the law was like, nah, people watching me like that, man. You know. But he did feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Okay. You know. And then obviously he didn't want his mum to see him like that. But number two, he's on a mission, man. You gotta think, because the Lord's crucifixion weren't just no physical thing. The pain started in the Garden of Gethsemane,
Yeah.
which means oil press. So his spirit was being pressed, man, from that moment on to the point where he was bleeding blood. So when you check it, right, from Gethsemane all the way till the last final cry, it is accomplished, is finished, right? He's got a mental battle going on as well.
Yeah.
Because he's on the cross for 3 hours. The demons are there. Just jump off.
Yeah.
Jump off, man.
Call down the angels.
Just call down. You know you can do it. Just call down the angels, man. You know, so you're trying to battle that in your head. You're trying to battle physical excruciating pain. And you got women there who are emotional.
They'll be softening him.
Exactly, man. Oh, yeah. How shy. Yeah. You know, because you got to think of it, man. Mary's thinking of it as my baby.
Yeah.
All right? But really, in reality, this is the Messiah, the Savior, man. So she, my son. Nah, man, forget that. Go home. Woman, behold thy son. Son, behold thy mother. And from that hour, they were taken off, man.
Yeah.
And if you can bear it through the spirit, it was John. It was John that escorted them off, man. And was like, take them to the house, man. And your house child, because people, you watch these movies, some big fucking crowd. It wasn't no big crowd when your house child died. Most people were in their house about to do the Passover, man. Okay? And then you had the temple, they were about to, because at the evening, when you read the law, not to digress too much,
Keep going,
but when you read the law, you would slaughter the lamb leading up to the evening. Okay?
So
at the Temple Mount, when they were doing their ceremony, that's why, and they knew, man, they knew that Yahushua was the Messiah, because the temple curtain ripped the veil, ripped from top to bottom. So as they were about to slaughter that lamb in the temple, Yahushua gave up the spirit, man. And the Lord's presence from the Holy of Holies, Kadash HaKadash, he left, man. And that's when it ripped. And then there was an earthquake, and there was an eclipse, and the saints came out the grave and went into Jerusalem, so on and so forth, man. But the point is this, there weren't no fucking crowd there watching Yahushua. It was Roman soldiers playing dice and taunting him, passerbys cursing him out, oh, you're this, and then they kept moving. Like how we are right now, that's how it was, but on the hill. It's a path, man, and the people were just walking by, man. But the people that actually stayed there was a couple of the disciples and the family. So Yahushua was like, nah, you ain't meant to be here watching this, man. You know, I'm doing this alone. He said to Peter, you can't come with me.
Yeah.
So why Peter can't come? Why is Mary and them man here? You know, John, take them home. Well, it doesn't say John, but in the spirit, if you can bear it, it was John that escorted Mary and the other women home.
Yeah.
You know?
Well said, man. That's a beautiful point, because again, it shows that the women can sometimes, like, there's a saying in the world, like, if you're into boxing and stuff, you know, when boxers are going to have a fight, they don't deal with the women for however long their training camp is, because they say women weaken legs. Yeah. So there's Yahushua doing the fight of his life.
Yeah. Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the women around, they're just going to try and, they're not doing it intentionally, but just their spirit is going to soften and effeminize your spirit. So there's times when you know, it's good to be with the woman, but there's times like when you're in a spiritual warfare, you need to be focused on the battle at hand. And that was the greatest battle that was ever fought, to be honest. Yeah. You know, because he was fighting for all of our salvation. Yeah. So that's why we owe Yahushua a great debt, just to be able to stand here and understand the scriptures the way we do now, because he had to shed his blood for us to get this truth. That's why you can't take it lightly, man. This isn't the thing where, you know, it's just a book. I've heard people say, oh, it's just a book, and a poorly written one at that. Some fucking nigga in the world told me, I said, man, you ain't in my life anymore. You get the fuck out of here. You ain't going to talk bad about the Lord like that, because Yahushua is the word. And if you're going to badmouth Yahushua, look, man, the way I thought about it was this. If I keep this nigga in my circle and he's badmouthing the Lord might take me out, man. Yeah. So, dude, you got to get gone, man. Yeah. But anyway, that's going on to another topic. Getting back onto the point, we was just saying that the woman is all up in her emotions, and that's why she needs to be under a strong man who can put her in check and keep things in order, man. So if you notice in this article, it's never made any mention of this kid's father. So let's keep going. So it says, yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about my son because he's in jail, and I felt it's because of me. Despite what he'd done, I still loved him. Then Wilson wrote to Helen from prison, apologizing for the attack, and his forgiving mother began to visit him every week. To be expected, that's what a woman's going to do. She continued and told him he needed to learn from this, and he promised me that he would change, and I truly believed him. So, her son was released early from prison in March 2020 after serving 2 years. See what I said? Remember, he wrote that letter all apologizing. I said, you know what? Probably doing it because it's going to help his probation.
Yeah.
So her son was released early from prison in March 2020 after serving 2 years of a 4-year sentence, right? When his probation officer was unable to find accommodation for him in time, Helen offered to take her son back in. When Sean came home, he seemed like a different person, Helen said. He was on his best behavior and he was nice to be around. But just a week later,
Oh, God.
yep, while Helen and Wilson were eating a takeaway, he asked her for a fork, sparking the beginning of her 8-hour nightmare. So the dude asked his mum for a fork, right? He was right by the kitchen, so I asked him why couldn't he get it himself. He grumbled, and so I went to the kitchen to fetch him one. The health worker recalled, right? So that's his mother, the health worker. But as I opened the drawer, Sean punched me in the head, and I fell to the floor. Horrified, I asked him what he was doing. He began slapping and punching the side of my head again. Sean then grabbed 2 kitchen knives and screamed that it was my fault that he went to prison. See, this guy, as I said, you know, what does it say about Esau? He held on to his wrath forever. Roughly paraphrasing, but yeah, he said, it was my fault that he went to prison. I was terrified. Wilson cruelly trapped his mother in the kitchen for several hours while hitting her and hurling abuse at her. She said at one point, I begged for the toilet, but he refused, so I ended up wetting myself.
Yeah, that's a fucking sick devil, man. That is a sick fucking bastard, man. How could, like, the woman fucking carried you, you know, for 9 months? The scripture speak about that, man. In the compartment of water and blood in 10 months, was I conceived?
Yep.
All right. You know,
Wisdom of Solomon, that's right.
You come out and you want to be beating on your mother. That shows you this man's the fucking devil, man.
That's right.
Like, he has no moral. That's why you can't really get emotional and upset at Esau, because he's not made correct.
Yep.
Where's that scripture where it says he was born speaking lies,
That was Psalm 58 verse 3.
and he's the father of it. But I'll give it back to you. Just get that real quick for me.
Yeah.
Because that don't make no fucking sense, man. How can you be born, right, and you see it fit to get physical with your mum? Now what's his name?
Sean Wilson.
Let me tell you something about Sean, right? I don't need to know the fucker, but I'll tell you something about Sean. If you put Sean in front of me or another brother that's able to fight, he'll be a fucking pussy.
That's right. That's how they always are. He
ain't gonna throw no bands. He ain't holding nobody in no headlock. He ain't holding no man hostage for 8 hours, telling them they can't go toilet, making man them wet themselves. All right, give him a fucking, and he's gone, bro. He's gone.
That's the spirit, though.
He's gone.
And that's a good point. If I may just chime in, what has Esau done? He's effeminized all the men. So now men ain't real men; they're all effeminate. A lot of guys don't want to fight anymore. Like you know, they run to a knife and stuff rather than trying to throw hands. But really, you know, if you get into a physical with a man, when a man beats you on your ass, you learn from that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes pain is the best teacher.
You're not a bad look, man. Fuck all that gangster shit, but you're not a bad man if you bust a gun, man.
Or a knife.
Or you have a knife. These days, you have to be rolling with fucking katanas, samurai swords and that, man. All right? You're not a bad man. All right? Now, if you can use it, then cool, whatever, you're skilled. Cool. But you see you fucking animals, right, on the road doing all that nonsense with guns and shit, you're not bad. Because if it's face to face, you can't, a man that can't look another man in the eye and have a discourse, you're effeminate, man.
That's right.
Okay? You'll be there stuttering in front of a guy and
looking at your fucking shoelaces rather than looking in the eye.
I'm on it. But you can't look him in the face, man. You rather stand from a distance and bust your your gun. You're a pussy, bro. So guess what? That Edomite spirit, and that's what Esau did. Esau came over there and stayed at bay, man. You gotta think, when it was the transatlantic slave trade and all of that stuff, right? Yeah, you had Jake that helped them You also had the Arabs, the Spaniards. When you get into the nitty gritty of the history, right? But Esau had to come with that far, that jab, man. You know,
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep you
long
at bay.
range weapon.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep you at bay. Because if it was face to face with Gad, and Gad would have fucking tore your head off, man.
Yep.
He means warrior, man. You look at Gadites and Reubenites, right? They will fucking tear through you, man.
Yep.
One grab, right, and their fingers are through the back of your head, man. Real fucking warriors, man. So Esau had to come with that far range bullshit, man. Okay, and that's the same thing.
That's exactly it. And again, when you're in that spirit, that shows that you're scared. Like, for example, if you're walking around with a knife in your pocket, you've already admitted that, you know what, I'm not strong enough to defend myself with my hands. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're leaning on a crutch.
Yeah.
And that's what Esau does, because Esau knew, like, if Jacob and Esau got into a physical, Jacob would whoop his ass, man.
Yeah.
But Esau has his blessing, which is the sword. And now you've got Jake in the world trying to tap into that same blessing, like you said, running around with little swords in their pockets and knives. But you call for scripture.
Yeah.
Psalms 58 verse 2, yea, in heart you work wickedness, you weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Who's the wicked? The wicked is Esau, okay? Esau is the wicked. It's very simple, man. There's a nation of people, and they are synonymous with wickedness, and they are Edomites.
Yep.
When they're born, read that again, Bible Kushal.
Psalms 58 verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
So guess what? Sean, from the moment his mother Helen pushed him out, Sean was off, man.
Yeah.
He was already destined for that violence, man. Okay. He through the spirit, I don't give a fuck about her, but if we had a conversation with Helen, he was probably doing extracurricular kicking in the womb, man.
Yep.
Just because that spirit of violence was on him. Now babies do kick, and it's oh, the baby's kicking, and you know, oh come, you know, the woman say to the father, oh come for your baby and all that nice cute shit. But Sean was probably giving her some fucking you know, some, you know, uppercuts, man. You know, in Japanese karate they call it maijari. You know, giving him that fucking front kick, that side kick, man. Baby Sean was probably going in because that spirit of violence was on him from the womb.
Yep.
Who the fuck does that to their mum? Read the last half of that verse, Babu Kusha.
Khan, it says the wicked are estranged from the womb, and they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent.
So the devil, Sean, the devil that she spawned, Sean, was now a devil to her.
Yep.
All right. That venomous, a snake venom. He now used that to clutch to the devil that brought him forth.
Yep.
All right. But of course she's gonna be upset. She's gonna be taken aback by that because they're all devils anyway.
Yep.
But she's probably gonna think, oh, he's gonna be nice to me. But now that devil has turned on her.
That's right.
One more time, Babu Kusha.
Psalms 58 verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Yeah, so he's a liar, man. All that letters in the prison, you know, oh, I'm sorry, this, that.
Yeah.
You know, all that shit.
Writing like Tupac, dear mama.
Yeah. You know, all of that, man. For what? Just to come back out and do the exact same thing again. You know? No sense, man.
Yeah. So this is the thing, man. And we was just saying, he premeditated that. And it's just like how Cain premeditated to murder Abel. Again, that's how we know who this guy is through the spirit, because it's like, he did wrong. He stabbed his mum in the hand. He gets put in prison when really he should have been put to death. He gets 2 years and he's still hurt about it when really the guy should be in the spirit realm. And he comes out and now he's taking vengeance upon his mother. So let's get back into it. It says,
so guess what, right? It would be only fitting, you know, the Lord's going to have it however he wants to play it. But it would be fitting that if he dies on this side, right, he's going to come back, and from birth in the kingdom, he's going to be a motherless slave, man. We're just going to have him in a separate pit for himself, man. You know, no mum, no nothing. But we don't have it where, because naturally a baby would die in that case. But we're going to have it where Paul, his name's Sean,
yeah.
Sean is able to stay alive in a fucking baby pit and just have no one to wean him, nobody to feed him. We're just going to throw some fucking shit old milk down his throat, you know, and his punishment will be to live alone.
Motherless.
Right? Motherless, and grow up motherless. And then just before he dies, we're gonna show him his mum in another pit and be like, that was the woman you was violating in the earth, and then kill his ass, man.
Yep.
Because that's fucking wickedness, man. The scripture says, you shall put evil out of the land.
Yep.
So the so-called justice system, you know, go to jail, rehabilitate you.
Yeah.
You know, the correctional facilities come up corrected. No, fuck off, man. He ain't corrected. He came out and done the same thing.
Yep, and even worse. He done even worse. Now, this is the thing, man. That's a good point you make, because the judge, whoever was sitting up on that bench, whatever it is they're sitting at, they basically that's a wicked ruler, and because the ruler is wicked, you know what I mean, they're not putting out the right judgments, so therefore they're enabling things like this to happen.
Like the court system, or when the judge walks in, all
All
rise.
rise.
Yeah, all rise for your fucking demise, mate.
You're
Because
right.
you're not following with the correct law, man. You're following your own bullshit, man. Section 3 of this and point
Article
5
7,
and
yeah.
Come on.
That's the thing as well. You got to ask yourself. I remember when I was at university,
Yeah.
a lot of the girls were studying. Oh, I'm doing law.
Yeah.
I'm doing law, and I
Yeah.
fucking hated that. You know
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Because I thought to myself, you're just doing that because you think that's going to get you good money.
Yeah.
You're not doing it because you're actually passionate about justice.
Yeah.
And I actually said that to a couple of people, and they looked at me like I had 8 heads or something
Yeah.
like that. But so you get these people, and this is the thing: how are you going to be a lawyer? Imagine you're the lawyer for Sean,
Yeah.
and you know he stabbed his mum in the hand, and you're there trying to get him off. Where's your fucking moral compass at?
Yeah.
How can you be defending
Yeah.
someone who's wicked?
Yeah.
So let's keep going. It says, eventually, yeah, he said, at one point I begged to use the toilet, but he refused, so I wet myself. Eventually, Sean dragged me into the living room and put me in a headlock and began strangling me. So, some flipping WWF type flipping chokehold he's putting his mum in. Is it, who's done the chokehold?
Who was
$1 Million Man, $1 Million Dream. That's the one, yeah. So he's got his mum in the $1 Million Dream. And eventually Sean dragged me into the living room and put me in a headlock, strangling me.
doing that John Cena? You can't see me.
And you know there weren't no light taps he was giving his mum. Because remember, this guy thinks that his mum took 2 years off of his life. So he's probably going all in with them punches and them kicks, man.
The fucking article says 8 hours, man. Who keeps you there for hours?
There you go.
Fucking you up, man. That's past physicality. That's a demon, man. That's a violence demon that's on Sean.
Yep.
Okay. And they all got that violent demon on them, but that's like a 10 violent demons on Sean, man. How the fuck do you keep? That's a whole day at the fucking plantation, man.
Yeah, it's 8-hour work day, innit?
So you're someone in a fucking corner just beating on them. Like you got a mental problem, man. You know, you're fucked up. But it's all right though, because you're gonna pay for that, man.
Yep.
You know.
The Most High saw everything, and it's all recorded. It's all recorded in the spirit realm. So you ain't got away with this. This is the thing. This kid Sean, he's got away with things. He's lived his life thinking, oh well, nothing ain't happened to me yet. I can do it. Like, what do they say in the scriptures? Because sentence against an evil work is not carried out expediently, therefore their heart is fully setting them to do evil. Because Sean hadn't got no repercussions from his wicked actions, he's fully set on doing evil. That's why he's like, you know what, I'm going to take it to the next level. And what do they say, you know? Next level, new devil kind of thing, you know? So he kept going in. So it says, and again, let's break this down. It says she wet herself, right? But you got to use your head. How many times do you need to use the toilet in an 8-hour period? So she probably wet herself multiple times, probably through fear as well, because she thought she was going to die, you know? So, I mean, she must have been all kind of messed up. So it says,
A quick precept, just
Go ahead.
for a scripture in there. This is Isaiah 59 and 18, and it's really talking about something else, but it can apply to this. And it says, according to their deeds, accordingly he will repay. Fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies, to the islands will he repay recompense.
that's
So
right.
the Lord, the reason I bring that out is because the Lord deals with recompense, man, repaying, payback. All right. So guess what? Even though he's a fucking Edomite, he's gonna have to pay for that, man.
Yep.
And you got a lot of Jake that's on that wave now, man. Because
Jake are doing the same
because
thing.
you had it back in the day, he was like, oh, you white kids, man, you can call your parents by their first name and
Exactly.
this
I
and
remember
that, and it was like very distinct. And when we used to say that, it's not because we wanted to do it, but it's like, I'm glad I have some fucking morals, man.
That's right.
Like, why am I like, I want to be like you, but now you got Jake that's grafting towards that, man. You know, I'm 18. I'm 18, so I can do what I want now. You know, you can talk to your parents how you want,
Yeah.
and all that shit. You know, that's fucked up, man. You got Jake moving towards that Edomite way of lifestyle when it comes to parenting. This is why we brought out that script. Let me bring it one more time. You know, bring one more precept. Then
Go
we
ahead.
can,
Go ahead.
you know, keep reading that article, man. Deuteronomy, and this is so important, man. For the Lord to tell us to say this every single day is very important, because when you're mindful of the oneness of Yahweh and your son Yahweh Shai, okay, and then to keep them in mind, the reason why we wear fringes, all right, is for what? To remember the Lord.
Yep.
So in any matter of, as we were saying, any aspect of life, you're not gonna go off, man. The water.
That's all right.
You know. So this is oh, I lost it. Let me get it again. This is Deuteronomy chapter, which means second book of the law. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Where is it, man? From verse, here we go. 3. Hear therefore, Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that he may increase mightily as the Lord Yahweh thy power of thy fathers have promised thee in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power, the Lord is one. And thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
That's right.
So basically, when you meditate on the law, when you meditate on, we're talking about them fucking children program shit. When you meditate on constructive things, all right, you're automatically mindful. Like the brother was saying, he likes to do equations, man, and work things out. What's it? Arithmetics.
Mental arithmetic. Yeah.
All right, that mathematics, right? You do that for fun. So as the brother gave the account, when you go to the shop and they shortchange you, because you've already been practicing, you can cut all in a second. They say,
Yeah.
right, boom, boom, boom. Now you owe me £5.65.
Exactly.
Or something like that. All right, but you got these dumb fucks out here. That's all they like the woman, 51 pence or 52 pence, because they're not constructive. It all goes back to fearing the Most High. That's why Sean and the likes of him will fucking beat his mother up, man. Because there's no fear of the Lord.
Yep, that's right. That's a very good point, man. So it says, yeah, I think it's 9:35.
9:35, yeah?
Yeah, do you need to wrap it up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up, man. Yeah, go on.
All right, so I'll just quickly finish this article, not much more, yeah?
Yeah.
So it says, eventually, Sean dragged me into the living room, put me in a headlock and began strangling me. I thought I was going to die. He filmed it on his phone too, yeah? The callous thug only stopped the harrowing ordeal at 5 a.m. when he walked into Helen's bedroom and fell asleep. The frantic and fearful Helen began searching the house for keys, but she realized that Sean had locked her in. She also discovered he'd unplugged the landline, removed the batteries, and hidden her mobile. So this is all premeditated, man. And it says, I realized he planned this all along. And she said, after searching desperately, I found the backdoor key hidden down the side of the sofa. I limped into the garden and found my mobile phone in the bushes, and distraught, I called the police. Wilson was then arrested for a second time at his mother's home when paramedics treated Helen for her injuries. I had black eyes and my body was bruised all over. I was in agony, but what hurt me more was that my own son had done this to me. In December 2020, Sean Wilson, 23, of Erith, London, pleaded guilty to ABH on one count of false imprisonment and was sentenced to 8 years. So yet again, that's another wrong sentence that's been delivered. This guy should be in the spirit realm. He's done more than enough to warrant the death sentence time and time again. But guess what? He's just getting a light slap on the wrist. So to close this out, it says, this time I felt no guilt, said Helen. And I also didn't feel like it was enough. Yeah, Helen explained. So that's the end of the article. But that's a very interesting last thing she said. She said, this time I felt no guilt and I felt like it wasn't enough. So you know what? Somewhere in her mind, somewhere, somehow, she knows that what the judgment that was given to her son wasn't enough for what he'd done to her. So that's that, man.
So yeah, man. That was good, man. Good article. You know, bring out a lot on that, man.
Oh, one more part. It says, but despite her bruises fading and her trauma, they still left her suffering from nightmares and panic attacks. And she says, I will never forgive my son from this. He is a monster.
That's right.
That's
So,
the end.
as the scripture we quoted, the scripture of the day, right, is the Shemai prayer, man. Shemai Sha'ala Yahweh Alachayna wa Yahweh Echad, Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall teach this unto your children and speak of it when you lie down and when you sit at the table and when you get up.
Yeah.
Okay? Because from there onwards, you learn the wisdom, the knowledge, and most importantly, the fear of the Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And by that, you ain't gonna do no fucked up shit, man.
That's right. And if I might just add one more thing, what does Proverbs say? The fear of the Lord
Lord.
is the beginning of wisdom, but fools despise instruction. So, Esau despises the instructions. So guess what? That judgment came upon Helen because you threw the Lord's word behind your back.
Yeah, man. So, anyways, that's it, man. We'll catch you tomorrow, Lord willing, at the main camp, man. We out, man. Rakatha Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
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 Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Rakah,
Rakah,
we out, man.
Shalom.
Shalom, man. Stay up, man.